All right, folks. So this is part two of the task management module that we had created in the first episode that we did there. So we had created a task management system. Basically, there's a form, collects a title, a description. You can set a status. You submit it. It gives you a nice little animation that kind of tells you that the form is submitting. When it's done, it refreshes the page, adds the new task. We'll go ahead and just add another here. I kind of figured out I had some code issues, otherwise JavaScript, that were causing me some issues with my input fields. I fixed that offline. So we'll go ahead and add a task number 4, we'll call it. Task for description. Lead still. All right, so there's going to be a few things here. We're going to continue to do some prettying up. What I'm going to do here is pick a class from my page here that has a button here that looks a little nicer than what this is supposed to be a button. There's really a link. I like buttons that do different functionality and links that do different functionality. So I'm going to go through. I'm going to pull up my console. I'm going to go through over here and find the class that I want to take to simulate the button that I want to do. Now there's button large. There's probably also button medium, button small. That's how they do these things. So let's go over into our view for that display of that. We got our add task. We're going to add in now a class parameter. I'm just going to do medium. Copy that because we're going to be applying that into our detailed views from the previous session as well. Do that update. You're not going to get any visual reference there, but we'll flip back up here. Pretty nice new button. All right, let's go into one of our entries, see what those buttons are looking like. Yeah, kind of want to make those a little more pretty too. So back over to our view, into the detail where those things exist. One, add that class in here. We've also now got this module again with a parameter that we need to add for class. There, to our page, doing up there. New pretty buttons to get us all around. Task, at any task, and it's going through and it's looking at the entry ID because we've got that dynamically defined in our formidable forms edit shortcode. That's pulling up the modal. Within that modal, there's a form, and then there's an entry ID parameter. That's generically pulling the dynamic ID from there, so it knows that we're working with this at task entry number 9. And right now it's incomplete. I could hit complete and update it, and then complete task. Now we got a couple of completes, incompletes, all great and fine. All right, so on to the next step, which is creating a comment system. So I want to now put like a little form down here, or button to a modal, something that will generate comments that we can, today I posted X thing, tomorrow I posted Y thing, and maybe capture it by date and time or something like that. So let's take that on. So we've got our task form that's doing all this stuff now. We got a task view that's giving us this detail. We need to be able to tie that comment into the entry parameter that we're going to capture so that each comment is unique to the entry that it's tied to. So let's go back over to minimal forms, create a new form. And this could be a comment form is something I use a lot across applications. So by capturing a unique entry parameter for entries and tying comments to that, you could use this in multiple places. Take a look at the settings. We're going to give it a title, and we're going to call it comment form. Do the Ajax thing again because we'll do that. Pull over that code that does the nice fresh refresh and update and all that kind of stuff from the previous example. I'm just going to turn emails off because I don't want to focus on emails right now. I'll hit save, so it'll update everything here. Comment form, let's go to the build function. And let's add some fields. By default, whenever you have an entry, there's a created at and an updated at form. And I kind of like to use, you could use either one of those, but for a lot of things, I like to use the updated at. That way you're kind of getting the latest date and time of the most recent update or edited entry or submission or however you want to look at that. But ultimately, the thing we're really only going to capture here, as far as allowing people to add comments, is a comment field, but something we need to capture in the background, whether you want to do that and see it as a user, as an admin, you can kind of, create a field and add a default parameter to capture that and make that field read only, or you can use hidden fields. It really just depends on use case. I think hidden is probably the preferred method. It's that way it's captured, but you don't necessarily see it. And that value that we need to get is a get param from the get param shortcode in the documentation. And we're looking at entry here, which was the parameter over on this side, which is this. We could add additional parameters and URLs and do different things with that. We might look at that later in some other applications as we get into stuff that's more complex, but theoretically, these are the things that we need. We might go ahead and just capture a user ID. I think that by default kind of comes with this too, but we'll go ahead and add it in. That way we know X person commented on X date, and we can put that into a view and display it. Save all that. Oh yeah, we did. We're going to go back and do the nice little field key, unique field key adjustments like we did in the previous episode here. So this is app comment user. Copy that so we can save some typing. This for the comments. So say app comment detail maybe. Comments. Have this one comment underscore random. I just changed that label. The label doesn't matter because it's not going to see, but it's useful for us. Get entry ID. Get entry ID. I'll that. Go check some of the settings. Like some of the other things we like to do. We like to be able to edit. So we would go over form permissions, allow the front-ending editing of entries. Logged in users can edit their own stuff. Administrators can edit anything. So now we've got the form basics there. We can go over here and grab the short code and decide where to place that manually. So we want it over here in the detail view. So just for visibility, we'll go ahead and just drop it in as is. Go back over to our view and take a peek. Got a comment form that lives there. Like how close it is to that. So I'm going to add some additional space. How close it was to the status. So now we've got a comment form. So now we can add comments, and it's going to capture the entry ID if we look at this form, essentially somewhere in this form. So I've selected what I can visibly see using the inspector tools in the web browser. So we can look up through here and now find that hidden field, which is get the parameter, and you'll see that it's gone up and it's found that entry number 6, and it's setting that as the value of the parameter that we're going to use to control the filter the entries based on the entry ID. That will be coming up. So let's add a couple of sets of comments maybe. Well, first of all, let's go back and add in some of that Ajax stuff from the other form. So I'm going to open up a separate browser window here into task form that we created that has that code. There's actions, some of that code. Send that back over. Same concept here. You're going to do our loading module that we had created in the previous episode. We're going to refresh the page. We got to look at what we're refreshing. So if the comment's in line, maybe we're wanting to refresh the whole section. Maybe we're just wanting to refresh a particular class. Maybe we'll just do that and see how that looks, how that comes across. So we're going to take this ID. So instead of a class, we're pulling an ID. Go over to this, and period represents a class. Hashtag represents an ID. So we're saying go to that particular container, that particular class, or that particular ID of that container, and fill it in with our visual magic that we're adding here. We're only doing that here currently on entry created, which is fine, but I just want to be able to see all that. So now let's test comment. See what kind of magic happens. Goes, your entry is expected. Refresh the page. We don't have anything to show the comments at this point, so it's just going to repeat and show the comment field. But now let's flip back over and let's build a view for our comment form so we can get that data. Just like we did over here, I kind of like to come back to things that work and go ahead and grab some of the stuff, steal some of the stuff from the previous thing and pull it over. So create a new view from scratch. I like to do the classic. There's reasons to do some of the other ones, but this is what we're going to do for now. All right, so now in the for content, we want to have something that kind of tells you what's what. So we're going to have 3 columns. We're going to say date, time, user, comment. Head over here now, back to our other view, and kind of that working code. We don't need to link to an individual entry ID here because we're going to be using a filter to simplify that here. We do got to update some of the short code. So that we are going to have the date here, but we're going to pull that from the entry created date or entry updated date. And there's a format parameter that allow us to decide how we want it to display in terms of date. So we're going to do month, day, year. Go over and look up time over in PHP. Date, time format. DI, base, and then we want like AM, PM. Yeah. So we got lowercase g, lowercase I, space, capital A. Space G, I, A. Let's see what kind of stuff that does. So now you'll see that date format come out through here now. So we had date, user, comment. So date in there pulled from the updated date. Know the user and final comment. There, comments. All right, we're going to go ahead and embed that into the page as well. Grab the code. Going over to that view, we're going to go over to the detail page of that view where we inserted the form shortcode. And maybe we want this above the form shortcode. Case. See what that looks like and feels like. All right, so we got the one entry, but we haven't set up a filter for it yet. And what that means is I'll show you. So if we added a comment, I think, to this first task. We go into this one, you're going to see that same comment because we haven't added the filter yet. So we add a filter to that. You won't see the comment entry for entry 6 here in entry 9. You'll only see the one for entry 9. Go back and that. So on the detail page, we'll have to go back to the filters over here. Filter the entry. I'm in the wrong view. View we should be filtering is the comment form. We are filtering it based on get entry ID is equal to that same parameter in the URL. So get parameter entry. Now back over here. Got the entry. Okay, so let's go into 6 where we created it. We should see it there. We got it. Good. All good. Wrong view again. Back over to the task management. Let's go back to our list. Task 4. No entries found. All good. We should have no entries found anywhere else. I'll go ahead and go to task 3 and just add another comment here for task 3. We have a comment there. Visual, we'll get the refresh, get the comment there. Now we've got a comment for entry 8. That won't show up anywhere else except for entry 8 as it's supposed to. Go ahead and do some prettying up again. So I'm going to go back over to this and grab that styling for div that wraps around it. Make sure that's over here in the comment. We want to have a nice line underneath every comment so that it's separated out. Tags over. We had comments. It's going to create a line here. Again, I want to do some separation in the apparent view. This one. Between our entries and where the form lives. Or maybe we can get bold. Maybe I don't want to have the comments field in line. I can switch that up if I so choose. I'm going to show you how to do that. I'm going to go ahead and make a comments button and drop it somewhere here and then have that pop up, maybe even up top here. Go over to our parent view where we got the buttons popping up that's doing the comment functioning. All right, so let's add another form mode content. This one is going to be four. This is not an edit entry versions. Kick that out the door there. Take that comment section out of here if I want, which was the inline form. Now we've got it in a modal. Go through here, we can add some additional comments. We're looking at entry 6, keeping track of that so that you guys understand it. Test comment entry 6. 8. Comment. Let's see here. Sorting by date with the latest comments. We can have sort latest comments at the top, at the bottom. You can do that through the filters. I want to have updated 8 descending instead of upsending to ascending, and you could do that. So flip flops that around. I think you would want to do that if you end up getting a bunch of comments, probably, or whatever it is that you're doing. But for the purposes of what I'm doing here, I'm actually going to take that filter out. It'll do by default sending. There is all of that. Let's see here. Let's link maybe the row to be able to edit the row. So we've got our edit task here. Can grab all of that and wrap it around. I don't know how to handle the HTML for wrapping it around that stuff, but we'll give it a shot here. It's not modal shortcode, but we'll give it a shot. So out. Because doing line starts. Be close there now. The user. Edit button. Edit for that particular entry. That one for that entry. There is going to be a better way to do that, but we'll keep it that simple here. We'll go back and change the class so that it's a smaller button. To be set it medium. Small. All right. So summarize. We built a task management form. That task management form has a view and a form. So you created the form first that collects the fields of title, description, status. We built a view for that to display that information back. Here's that form. Here's that view. I guess if you wanted to, you could also add filters to parent form if you wanted to just show entries that have been completed. You know, you can play around with the status field. You could have different views, one for, sorry, not sorting, but filters. You could create a page with a view where you have complete entries. You could create a page with a view where you have, you know, the incomplete entries. You could flirt around with adding short code inline that kind of has a tab, and you could have two views in one page and tab one with the incomplete and one without. We're not going to go into detail on that in this particular application. We've got the detailed views for our entries. Within our entries, we added a comment system where we can add comments here. You can edit the task. You can navigate freely with the, you know, with a nice user experience that keeps you within the application appropriately. You would have to go back and review the first video to see some of this stuff. But this video covered adding a comment system. We're able to add them, and we're able to edit. All right, that's it for this episode. And that wraps up the simple version of this task management system with comments. I hope you liked it. And I look forward to doing some more. Thanks.